corn mutton series, and I mentioned in part 1 that we'll be doing 3 parts. So this is the other half of the can of corn mutton. And again, if you want to check out the full series, you've got to be on youtube.com/Caribbean Pot. I'm not sure where you're watching this currently, but all I'm doing, dry non-stick pan. We spoke about the fat content and the salt content and everything else in the corn mutton, and you know, it is very similar to how you would use corn beef, right? All that fat there, that's gonna sort of, wait a minute, turn on the people's stove, Uncle Chris. You doing cooking show, you ain't turn on the flicking stove. Anyhow, that fat is gonna render out, and this is gonna be the base for cabbage. And it's a great way to stretch this or corned beef, corn mutton or corned beef, either will work. Even luncheon meat or canned pork, spam, all those different things. Just be mindful of the salt content and everything else. Just don't make it too regular on your diet. As with everything else, moderation is key. Yeah, but all those different things I mentioned, they will be able to add some lovely flavor to your cabbage. Now I am just using cabbage. I've got half of a large onion, 5 cloves of garlic that I smashed, some black pepper, and of course half of a Scotch bonnet pepper. If you wanted to add carrots in here, you can. Totally up to you. I may add a couple cherry tomatoes. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll see. But anyways, we want it on a medium flame just to render out some of that fat and to sort of crisp up some of the edges of the, and you know what I like about the corn mutton, lately the corned beef that we're getting is all mush. Here you can see strands or shredded mutton meat in there, which, yo, better than that mushy stuff. It won't take long for that to happen, maybe 3 minutes or so, and you can see all that fat on the bottom there. That's sort of sizzling that you're seeing, that's all fat. So at this point you're going to put in your shredded cabbage into here. Yeah, I'm just going to scrape it with a spoon. Just going to hit that a little stir just to make sure we start sort of deglazing the bottom of the pan here. And that cabbage is going to let off a lot of water due to the steam that will be created here, so don't fret too much. And the last thing I want you all to do is to overcook the cabbage as well. So at this point, yeah, mind the noise, it's black pepper time, and I'm going to add a tiny bit of salt, nothing too heavy because, yeah, high in sodium, right? So we are trying to double up the dose. Just a tiny bit of salt, the onion, Scotch bonnet pepper, and of course that garlic. The printable recipe for this entire series will be available at CaribbeanPot.com, as I always share those classic homely Caribbean meals. Whole idea now is to just let that all come together on that sort of medium-low flame. And again, I don't want to overcook. And this is why, you know, you can add the carrots and everything else, because essentially it's almost like a vegetable chow mein you're making here. But I don't want to overcook the cabbage, is essentially what I'm saying as well too. But I want that onion and the garlic and everything else. Now, if you wanted to add the onion and garlic whilst you started, when you started with the corn mutton, you can do that as well. I just find that it really doesn't make a difference too much. It's been about 5 minutes and you can see it's already starting to wilt down, it's starting to soften up. And here's where you can control things. You will taste it and adjust the salt, 1. 2, you will continue cooking this longer or determine how you like your cabbage. I want this for about 3 more minutes. Nothing more than 3 more minutes. Now here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, what I forgot to mention. I may have mentioned earlier about adding carrots in there, but bell peppers and all those things as well will work great in here. Again, another means or another method of clearing out your fridge of odds and ends that you may have with vegetables in there. Yeah. At this point, I have some little cherry tomato that I cut into half. That is optional. You don't need to do that. But I find the bitter acidity it gives me an opportunity to use them. I had it in a salad last night, and that is what's left over. So the acidity, perfect. A little sweetness as well too. And you know that cabbage, whether you want to admit or not, does have a natural sweetness about it as well, yeah? And I like adding in the last couple of minutes. You know, like I said, I'm gonna have this go for about 2 or 3 minutes more. So I like adding the tomato at this point so it doesn't disintegrate in there, and it keeps that nice little acidity and freshness and sweetness and everything else without mashing up, you know what I mean? But anyhow, 2 more minutes. Sup, soldiers? Listen, if you enjoy this recipe, I'd really appreciate it if you hit subscribe and click that bell notification thing. If you've made the recipe, take a picture and send it to me, email address down here. I mean, trying to tell people the email address, them butts will take the address and do all kind of thing with it. And tag me on Instagram at Caribbean Pot. I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for being in my kitchen with me today. Irie. Chris here, CaribbeanPot.com. Always a pleasure having you all in the kitchen with me. Part 2 of 3 of my corn mutton series. I hope you all get an opportunity to give this one a try. Stay tuned for the 3rd and final version of the corn mutton series. And of course, do go to youtube.com/CaribbeanPot and check out recipe 1. Irie?